crazy tonight.
I'll try to get them to like me, but I don't know. Mic check, like it has been working all night, but there's only one true thing in life that I know about, and that's karma. And karma is a bitch. Now, my first experience with karma was when I was in high school. My mom was a Spanish teacher, right? And like any good son, I would help her correct tests every once in a while. And one of her tests, there was a section on the test that had 10 true and false questions. One of the students in her class happened to get every single true and false question wrong. Now, I'm an English teacher, I'm not a statistician, but I can tell you the exact probability of that is pretty fucking low. So, I don't think anything of it really. Maybe she didn't study, doesn't really do well in Spanish, whatever. So I keep grading papers. Six more papers along, I come across another test that happens to get every single true and false question wrong. And now I'm thinking, what happened to be a mathematical improbability is now a mathematical in-fucking possibility, because there's no way that two people could get 50% questions, 10 of them, completely wrong. So one person cheated off the other. That second person became the dumbest person in class for cheating off the dumbest person in class. And that's karma. Okay. Now, the second instance in karma happened when I was in college. I had a roommate who was a bartender in college, and this was a fantastic situation, let me tell you. It was any guy's dream, especially since, it was a girl bartender. So, she invited me out to drink with her at the bar every couple nights or so. I was going out maybe 3 or 4 nights in college, and one of these nights I go home early, but she comes home at 2:30 in the morning. And she's like, Mike, are you up? Yeah, bitch, I'm up now. Like, what do you want? She's like, I may have met the dumbest girl in the world today. I'm like, really? Because I met some pretty dumb people in my life. So what kind of story you got for me to wake me up at 2:30 in the morning? She's like, well, this blonde girl, right? She thought she was being real sneaky, so she snuck behind the bar, grabbed a bottle of grenadine, and ran off. And I was like, does she know grenadine doesn't have any alcohol? And my roommate was like, exactly. Dumbest bitch in the world. I'm like, yeah, she is. And my roommate was like, all she did was cost the bar like $2 and maybe her hips 1,000 calories. So, now, having said that, not much has changed in my life since that moment. I've grown a couple of years, sure, but I still have a roommate who is a bartender, who actually owns a bar. And really, it's not good for me. I need to stop drinking, but because every time I drink, something weird happens, or I say something that I immediately regret. And let me tell you about the weirdest experience that I had while drinking. So, this is my 4th year in China, my 2nd year in Suzhou, but my first 2 years, I was living in this little town called Yixing, China. Anyone has been to Yixing before? One person. Why did you go? You live there. Okay. Yeah, you regretted it. That was the 2 longest years of my life was in Yixing. My first year in Yixing, I happened to have a westernized Chinese girlfriend, but the 2nd year, I was single. So, I didn't know how to handle myself. I got on this thing called Tan, and I started meeting girls. And, for those of you who don't know, Tan's like the Chinese equivalent of Tinder. just a lot more painful to use because no one speaks English. And so I match up with this girl, and she's a DJ. She's also a DD driver, which has its perks. And so, you know, we get together. She picks me up for our date. And we go have some fun. I take her to a good Chinese noodle shop, try to impress her. But this date, I mean, it was just WeChat translation. The worst thing I think that's ever been invented, and something that I would not wish upon anyone. So now I have a requirement that, you know, the girls that I date, they have to know at least English. But I stuck with this one because she was hot. Probably one of the hottest girls I've ever seen in China, to be honest. And so I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. So 2 to 3 months later, we're drinking at a bar. I'm good friends with the bar owner. He's a Chinese guy who can speak English. He likes foreigners. He gives us discounts. And so he eventually convinces this girl in his Chinese language to maybe finally get with me. I'm like, oh, this is good. So the girl, you know, we've been talking, well, texting all night, and kissing, hugging, whatever. So she brings me back to her DD car, opens up the back and says, "Get in." Well, I mean, she said something. I don't know what it was, but I got in. And so we start to get intimate in the back of her DD car. And, you know, eventually we start to have sex, and then I hear, "Bu yao, bu yao, bu yao." And my Chinese is EDNDN, but my EDNDN knows that bu yao means don't want. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm having a psychological crisis right now. I'm like, am I raping this individual? Am I taking her flirts and her kisses and her like advances on me to be like unwarranted, but it's really warranted, but it's not warranted? And so I immediately pull out. And while I'm thinking about this, she just looks at me. And if I could read you her face, it was, "What the fuck are you doing?" So no shit. She takes my cock and puts it back in her and says, "Boo yao." And I don't know what the fuck's going on right now. So I mean, we continue to go at it. We have a good time, we finish, but I'm psychologically traumatized by this incident because, again, this is, I don't know, I really have no idea. So, as she's driving me back home, I'm thinking about this because, you know, if this was to happen in the United States, if a girl says no to you, if she says don't want, you don't go any further, because if you do go further, then you wind up in jail, and then you're the one that's going to be saying "boo yao" to a big bad biker guy who's 400 pounds, got a big long beard, bald, and named Larry, or a big like 200. Your name is Larry?
No, my father.
Yeah. or this like 300-pound blackjack guy named like Tyrone. Luckily, you know, this is in the States, so I would probably equate that to if I was thrown into a Chinese jail, I would have to probably worry about some Chinese guy who's named like Wong Li, who uses nunchucks as dildos and just anyways, yeah. So I'm constantly thinking about this, and so the next day I couldn't sleep. So the next day I go get therapy, right? And I get therapy for my shrink, which is this 8-year-old, not 8-year-old, an 8-year veteran in China. He has a Chinese wife, he's an expat, and so he was like my mentor. So I'm like, "Hey man, I really need to speak to you right now. I'm going through something." He's like, "Okay, come over to the bar." "Good, drinks will help." And so I tell him, I'm like, I tell him the story, "Booyah, booyah, booyah." And he's like, "Oh, a Chinese girl said that to you?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's cultural." I'm like, "What do you mean it's cultural?" He's like, yeah, it's cultural, man. Like Chinese girls, they want to act all innocent and stuff, but once you get them in the bed, they'll be like, oh, booyah, booyah, booyah. And really, what you have to understand is just ignore anything that comes out of a Chinese girl's lips when they're having sex. So, I've used this now, and it's helped me through some difficult situations in the past couple of years, where I would normally question what is happening, but now I'm just like, tis China. T-I-C, this is China, so. But, as much weird shit happens, I've gotten way too good at drinking, and now, like, although weird shit happens, also, I say shit and I do shit that's not good. Like, I've gotten so good that I have a bottle of cologne in my e-bike now. So when I have a rough night the night before school, I get to school, put on my cologne, and I walk in feeling like Dolce & Gabbana. But even if I walk in like this, I mean, this is in my head, right? But really, it's more like. And this happened to me before I knew the Dolce & Gabbana e-bike technique. This happened to me in America, where I was just, I went to a party, had a flight to catch the next day to Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is one of my favorite states in America. And, I walk into the airport kind of drunk, because, well, good at drinking, and after 10 shots of tequila, I still feel like $1 million in the morning, which again is why I have to stop drinking. But I walk in and I go to the ticket counter. Lo and behold, at the ticket counter, I see a girl who had the biggest tits I've ever seen. So I'm just like, wow. Can I help you, sir? Wow. Passport, please, sir. Oh, yeah, okay. Here you go. Where are you going? Can I get to Pickett's to Pittsburgh, please? What did you say? Can I get to... She literally leaned over the counter and punched me, right? And so now I'm thinking to myself, well, deserve that, karma, right? Deserve that, karma. And I get my tickets, even though there's a miscommunication, I get my tickets to Pittsburgh, not my pickets to Pittsburgh. And I'm walking around, though, with a migraine, with a hangover, and now with the formation of a black eye. And so I eventually board my flight. I get a window seat, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's no one sitting next to me. This is good. I don't want to talk to anyone. I can't be bothered. I just want to rest in peace. But I see this guy out of one eye. I see this guy walking down the aisle. And then he sits down next to me. I'm like, whoa, you have a black eye. And he's like, whoa, you have a black eye. What happened, man? How did you get yours? And so I tell him the story where, saw the ticket girl, had big tits, said tickets to Pittsburgh instead of pickets to Pittsburgh and whatever. And he's like, you know what? That same thing happened with me and my wife the other day. I was at breakfast with her, right? And instead of saying, honey, can you pass me the sugar? I said, fucking bitch, you ruined my life. All right. All of you are way too sober for that. So anyways, Ganbei, cheers to good decisions. Bad decisions, and cheers to karma.